Hey guys, Steve Watts here, Beaman Toyota in Nashville. Had a question and I'm going to try to decipher it and answer it in the way I can. Now the question was, how do you install maps? That question is very dependent on what you have. So if you have a newer car, there's a different answer than if you have an older car. So I'm going to do this Highlander here first to show you one of the older vehicles, and this will be, this one's a 19 Highlander, so it's not that old, but it's a little bit older. And then I'm going to do this RAV4 that's right ahead of us here as the next vehicle. All right, so if you are looking for one of the newer vehicles, just skip ahead the video until you get to the RAV4 and I'll show you your answer on that. It's actually a little bit easier of an answer, but I'll show you your answer on that. So without further ado, I'm going to hop into this Highlander here. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to look, and you're going to notice you've got your map over here. All right, so now depending on the particular vehicle you have, you may or may not have integrated maps, and that's one of the things I'll show you on the RAV4. But you have different map options with your Toyota. So you can have an integrated map, you can have a dynamic map, you can have a map where you use an app for it, and there's just different ways to do it. Now, if you're in this screen and you see a map, great, you have a map card installed. There's no phone paired to this, so you can see that your map works independently of your phone. All right, I'm going to hit home here. You can kind of see how all this works, right? What you're going to notice is there's a spot over here that you can kind of use your fingernail and pop this off. All right, inside here is an SD card. All right, and I'll kind of pull this out and I'll show it to you. All right, a little mini SD card. These things aren't cheap, guys. These things can be $300 to $600 depending on the car, somewhere around in there. Now you can buy these if you choose that you want to update your maps. You can buy the most recent map card and plug it in, and your maps will be completely updated. So you can definitely do that. And it goes in that slot right there, and I'm going to not push it all the way in just yet. I'm going to kind of leave it in here. All right, reason I'm not pushing this in is I want to show you this. It says unable to read the map card or map SD data, check the map SD. You're going to notice that there's going to be a few other things if we come in here that won't work right either. So traffic, unable to read it, right? You come over, well, weather, weather map, no map data. It can't see any of that because it doesn't have this. So if your question is, this isn't working, you might have bought a car, maybe a used car that didn't have a map card. You're gonna have to go buy that map card. But that's something that you can do. Now, if you watch, I'm gonna push this in. I'm gonna hit home, loading map. You saw that a second ago, and boom, there's your map. Now, a lot of times it won't show things like your weather right away because it has to download the information. This one popped right up. So, but it sees the map is there, right? Come back over, traffic, boom, traffic, event list. You can see all of that stuff that has to do with your map card. All of that is right there. So if your question is that this isn't working and you don't have a map where it says there's no map card or it's unable to read it, you could have a bad map card. I guess I haven't seen that before, but I know it's probably possible. So you could definitely have that, but that being said, it's probably more likely that you're missing that little map card right there. So, all right, so now we're going to go as promised, and I'm going to show you something else. So when we come up to this RAV4, all right, beautiful RAV4, currently for sale, of course. But when we come up to this RAV4, I'm going to pop in here, and you're going to see something different. All right, so now most of the new vehicles are actually very similar on how they look when you get to like the radio and stuff like that, right? So most of them are actually very, very, very similar. Touch screens, stuff like that, your buttons, very similar, all right? So there's two types of systems that you can actually have, or actually there's more than two. There's three. There's premium audio, there's audio plus, there's just a regular audio, but there's several systems that you can have. But there's two major things you're going to notice as it pertains to maps. First off, I want you to see this map button here. All right. Now your home screen looks a little bit different, than what the other one is. Your menu, it looks a little bit different than the other one. But if you hit map from anywhere, I'm just going to hit home. You hit map, navigation app is not installed. All right. So this is another question that a lot of times people ask. What is the navigation app? Well, the navigation app is something called Scout GPS Link. Scout GPS Link. If you're in the Toyota, of course, you download that app and it's going to allow your phone to give turn-by-turn directions to your head unit, which is your radio here. Now, if you plug it in, and when you plug it in down here, it's your USB. So wherever your USB is, if it's on a Corolla, it'd be over there. If it's on a Highlander, it'd be in that same general area. There's a lot of them that are in the same general area. But if you plug in that USB, you'll get turn-by-turn directions. But most people don't use Scout GPS that way. Most people use Scout GPS just kind of on some of your older ones. But now, pretty much everything, and I'm going to say pretty much because there's very few out there that don't, you're going to have the ability to use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Now, in Toyota, you have to plug it back into that same USB port in order to use it, because that's how you move your data, right? So, that being said, there are some wireless options out there. There's dongles. I believe some cars are offering it wireless. I've heard less than stellar reports on some of that, how they can have delays and things. I don't want to say one thing good, bad, indifferent, because that's really not what this video is about. This is about hooking up a map to your screen. Now, if you plug in and you have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you will now have Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze. You'll have all of these maps that you can use. And then when you hit the map button, you're going to go to the last map that you used. So if it was an Apple map and you hit that, you're going to go back to Apple Maps. If you were on Waze, you're going to go back to Waze. But you have to have had your phone plugged in, and it's using your phone's data in order to do that. All right. So how can you tell if you have Apple CarPlay? Well, I'm glad you asked. When you find out, you'll be glad you asked. So hit your setup. So it's your menu and your setup, and you see this one shows CarPlay right here. All right. So it's got on for CarPlay, off for CarPlay. Sometimes you'll see something in the Toyotas that say projection, and they'll say projection settings, and you'll hit projection settings, and then you'll go through and it'll say, do you want CarPlay or Android Auto? Now, this particular one is a 19 model. It did not have Android Auto. The 20 models had Android Auto. The 19s did not. So if you look at this and you go into this and you see just Apple CarPlay and there's not a second option for it, you can tell whether the car, this might be in your research stage and you're planning on buying one, but you can tell whether the car that you're about to buy is capable of having Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You didn't have Android Auto wasn't available until the 21 Corolla. So the 20 Corollas, where most things in 20 had Android Auto, your 20 Corollas did not have Android Auto, and it's one of the only Toyotas that did not have Android Auto in 2020. So most of them now, I don't think there's anyone that's coming out now. I don't think there's going to be any 22s that don't have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So, and I might caveat that by saying I'm not positive on the Supra. I know it has CarPlay, but I'm not positive that it has Android Auto. And the premium version of the Supra does have wireless CarPlay, but realistically speaking, it's just that's more of a BMW thing than it is a Toyota thing. So that being said, hopefully I've answered your question. Like I said, when the question is how do I install maps, it's kind of very difficult to know exactly what the question was, but those are pretty much the two answers that you can have to that question based off of how you've asked it, I believe. If I'm wrong, please let me know, but I'd love to answer your question if that wasn't the right answer. But I believe that I've got us, so hopefully I've helped you out. Hopefully I've given you the ability to know what might be the issue with your car. But definitely let me know. Like, subscribe. Appreciate every one of you guys. Definitely, I look at it every day and always try to check the comments. If you guys have any ideas that you'd like me to kind of go over, any questions you'd like me to answer, I'm more than happy to do that. I do try to help you guys out. I am master certified and everything Toyota, so I do my best to make sure that I answer all those questions for you, and take a little bit of time doing it. So I do appreciate you guys when you like, subscribe. If you live in the Nashville area, you want to come down and buy a car, even if you just want to come in from somewhere else, I'm more than happy to help you. Definitely reach out to me here at the store, and that's always a way you can get a hold of me. You can always email me as well at buyatoyotanashville@yahoo.com. buyatoyotanashville@yahoo.com. And I appreciate every one of you guys. Definitely like, subscribe. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you guys later on.